The night was quiet. Stars shone above the desert, and the only sound was the soft wind moving across the rocks. Ethan, a human engineer, walked slowly near the old canyon. He was not looking for trouble. He only wanted to collect some metal parts from the crash site of an unknown ship. But then, he heard it. At first it was only a faint sound like the whimper of a small animal, but as he walked closer, the sound grew louder. It was a cry, a baby's cry. The sound echoed inside the broken alien ship, filling the dark air with pain and fear. Ethan froze. His heart beat faster. A baby out here? That's impossible, he whispered to himself. Still, the cry continued. It was sharp, filled with suffering. Something inside him refused to ignore it. He stepped inside the wreck. The ship was torn open, wires hanging, sparks flying like tiny fireflies in the dark. The smell of burned metal and alien chemicals stung his nose. The cry grew louder. But there was something strange. Every time the baby cried, the machines around him flickered. A console burst into smoke. Lights blinked and died. It was as if the sound itself carried power strong enough to break technology. Ethan's skin crawled. This is not a normal child, he thought. He pushed forward. The shadows inside the ship moved around him, and the broken walls made strange shapes. Each step felt dangerous, but he could not stop. The cry was pulling him forward, like invisible hands dragging him through the wreckage. Finally, he saw it. In the center of the wreck, lying inside a broken cradle of alien metal, was a baby. Its skin glowed faintly with silver light, and its small chest rose and fell in weak, shallow breaths. The child's tiny hands reached out, shaking in the cold. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. It's alive. The baby looked so fragile, yet so strange. Its eyes were half closed, shining faintly like two small stars. But the real danger was clear. The baby was struggling to breathe. Each time it gasped, its lungs wheezed, and the sound broke Ethan's heart. He knelt down. Easy, little one, easy. His voice was soft, careful, the way one speaks to an injured bird. The baby coughed and wailed louder. At that very moment, a panel above Ethan sparked and collapsed, crashing just a few feet away. The cry had destroyed the ship even more. Ethan's mind raced. He was only a human engineer, not a doctor, not a hero. But he knew one thing: if this baby kept gasping like that, it would not survive for long. Your lungs. They don't work right in this air, he muttered, studying the child's weak breaths. You need help, and I'm the only one here to give it. For a moment, fear tried to stop him. Who was this baby? Why was it here? Was it safe to even touch it? What if someone came looking for it, someone dangerous? But then the baby reached out its small, glowing hand. It touched Ethan's finger. Its skin was warm, trembling, but the touch was gentle. Something inside Ethan broke. He could not leave this child to die. He took off his backpack and spread out his tools: scraps of metal, a small oxygen canister, tubes, wires. His hands shook, but his mind focused. He had built machines, repaired ships, even crafted makeshift life support before. He could try again, this time for something far more precious. As he worked, the ship creaked around him. Shadows moved in the corridors. He felt like eyes were watching, waiting. But he ignored the fear. Every second mattered. He bent the metal into a small frame. He attached wires, tubes, and filters, shaping a crude artificial lung. His fingers bled as sharp edges cut his skin, but he did not stop. Sweat ran down his face, dripping into his eyes. The baby coughed again. Its glow dimmed. Ethan's chest tightened with panic. Hold on. Just a little longer. Finally, he finished. The device was ugly. Nothing like real alien technology, but it might work. He gently placed the mask over the baby's mouth and nose, connecting the tubes to the oxygen. For one terrifying moment, nothing happened. The baby's chest rose weakly, then fell. Silence. No, no, no. Ethan's hand shook. He adjusted the device, pressed it tighter, prayed silently. Then, the baby gasped. A strong, clear breath filled its lungs. Its glow brightened like a small star reigniting. The crying stopped. The silence was heavy but peaceful now. The baby's tiny fingers wrapped around Ethan's hand, holding on. Its eyes opened wider, calm and shining. Ethan felt relief rush through him. He smiled faintly. There you go. You're safe now. But before he could rest, a sound froze him in place. A heavy step, metal boots hitting the broken floor, slow, powerful, dangerous. Ethan looked up. In the shadows of the wreck stood a massive figure, taller than any human, armored in black, eyes glowing red. The shape moved closer, silent but deadly. Ethan's body turned cold. He had saved the baby, but now someone had found him. And from the way the figure stared at him, Ethan knew this was no rescue. It was the beginning of something far bigger. The armored figure stepped closer, the sound of metal boots shaking the broken floor. Ethan's heart pounded. He still held the baby, its glow soft against his chest. The figure was huge, at least 7 feet tall, with armor that looked alive, shifting and pulsing with faint red lines. 2 burning eyes stared down at him. Ethan prepared himself for death, but then something unexpected happened. The armored alien knelt. Slowly, carefully, it lowered its weapon and touched the ground with one hand. Its head bowed not to Ethan but to the baby in his arms. Ethan blinked, confused. You're not here for me?" The alien said nothing. Its voice was a deep growl when it finally spoke. The baby cooed softly, breathing easier now through Ethan's crude device. The armored alien seemed to relax, as if seeing the child alive was enough to calm a storm. Ethan let out a shaky breath. He was not safe, but he was not dead either. That was something. The alien soldier pointed at the baby, then at Ethan. "You saved the heir," it rumbled. Ethan swallowed. "I tried, but this device won't last long. It's only a temporary fix. If we don't find a real solution soon, the baby—" He couldn't finish the sentence. The soldier's head tilted, as if studying him. "Come." It turned and walked deeper into the ship, expecting Ethan to follow. For a moment, Ethan hesitated. Every step could be a trap. But then the baby's weak breath reminded him this wasn't about him anymore. He followed. The corridor was dark and broken, sparks dripping from shattered walls. The soldier led Ethan into a chamber filled with alien machines. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, flickering as though half dead. At the center lay a cradle made of crystal and metal. It was cracked and useless. Ethan guessed it had once been a life support pod for the baby. The soldier growled, frustrated. Destroyed in the crash. "The Queen will not forgive failure," Ethan's stomach tightened. Queen? So this baby wasn't just important, it was royal. He had stumbled into something massive, something dangerous. The soldier turned to him again. "Human, fix it," Ethan shook his head. "This tech is beyond me. Your systems are too advanced. I can't repair it." But then his eyes moved back to his own device, the rough, ugly mask he had built from scraps. It was crude, but it worked. A thought sparked in his mind. Maybe he didn't need to fix alien tech. Maybe he needed to build something new. He laid the baby gently on a piece of cloth and opened his pack again. His hands pulled out wires, filters, tubing, even parts he had taken from his broken comms unit. The soldier watched in silence, but Ethan could feel its burning eyes on his every move. He muttered as he worked, speaking more to himself than to anyone else. "You need stable airflow, pressure balanced to your lungs, filters for atmosphere." His mind raced faster than his fear. He used metal scraps to form a stronger frame, bending them with pliers until they fit together like puzzle pieces. He added filters from his oxygen mask, cutting them down to size. The hardest part was the regulator. He had to make sure the baby could breathe at its own pace, not be forced by machine pressure. His hands shook, but his focus sharpened. Every sound in the room, the crackle of broken wires, the soldier's breathing, even the baby's faint whimpers, faded into silence as he worked. He was not just building a device. He was building a lifeline. Minutes turned into an hour. Sweat soaked his shirt. His hands were raw and bleeding. But finally a new device sat in his lap. It was still rough, but stronger, safer than the first. He lifted the baby gently and placed the mask over its face. The device hummed softly, air flowing through the filters, steady and clean. The baby coughed once, then breathed deeply. Its chest rose and fell in rhythm. Its glow brightened, stronger than before. For the first time, Ethan saw the baby's eyes open fully, 2 bright silver lights staring at him with innocent trust. The tiny hand reached out and grabbed his thumb, holding tight. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Relief, joy, and fear all at once. "You're going to be okay," he whispered. "I promise." The soldier stood tall, watching. For a long time it said nothing. Then it spoke with a voice heavy like thunder. "You saved the royal heir twice. No outsider has ever touched the blood of the Queen and lived." Ethan froze. Wait, what? The soldier's gaze sharpened. You will come. You will answer to the Queen herself. Ethan's mouth went dry. The Queen? I'm just an engineer. I didn't do this for... But the soldier had already activated a comm device on its wrist. A strange signal pulsed through the chamber. Ethan looked down at the baby, still breathing softly in his arms. For now it was safe. But what waited beyond this ship? What kind of ruler was this Queen? His gut told him one thing. Saving the child was only the beginning, and when the sound of engines roared outside, shaking the ground, Ethan knew his life was about to change forever. The roar of engines outside grew louder, shaking the wrecked ship. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the soldier stiffened as if standing at attention. Ethan's grip on the baby tightened. Through the broken hull, bright lights pierced the darkness. Strange shapes moved in the glow, sleek alien crafts landing with perfect precision. The ground trembled beneath their weight. The soldier turned to Ethan. She comes. Ethan's heart raced. He had no idea who she really was, but the way the soldier said it, heavy with fear and respect, made him realize the truth. The Queen, he swallowed hard. Great, a queen, just what I needed. The soldier did not reply. Instead, it opened the hatch of the wreck, bowing its head. Ethan felt a sudden chill in the air. She entered. The Queen was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. She was tall, towering even over her armored soldier, her body wrapped in flowing armor that glimmered like black crystal. Her movements were slow, graceful, but every step carried power. The air itself seemed to bend around her presence. Her face was partly hidden by a mask of silver and gold, shaped like wings. Only her eyes were visible, two blazing orbs of violet light, piercing and cold. Behind her, a group of alien nobles followed, their armor decorated with jewels and banners. They carried strange weapons, and their eyes burned with suspicion. The Queen's gaze fell on Ethan. For a moment, the room felt silent, as if time itself had stopped. Ethan stood frozen, the baby glowing softly in his arms. The Queen's voice cut through the silence. Human. Her tone was calm but heavy, each word carrying the weight of command. You hold what belongs to me. Ethan's throat went dry. He wanted to speak, but his voice refused to come out. Finally, he managed to whisper. Your child? The Queen's eyes narrowed. The nobles behind her hissed at his boldness. But the Queen raised one hand, silencing them. Yes, she said. The heir to my throne. The baby stirred in Ethan's arms, breathing calmly through the device he had built. Its glow pulsed brighter, as if sensing its mother's presence. The Queen took one slow step forward. You touched the royal blood. No outsider should live after such a crime. Ethan's chest tightened. He had known this was coming. He forced himself to meet her gaze. Then why am I still alive? For a moment, the Queen was silent. Then her eyes fell on the strange mask over her child's face, the machine Ethan had built. You made this, she said. Not a question, but a statement. Ethan nodded. Your child couldn't breathe. I did what I could. The nobles whispered again, some furious, some curious. To them, Ethan was a trespasser, a human with no place in their empire, but the Queen's gaze never left him. You saved the heir, she said slowly. Twice. Her words hung in the air like a storm about to break. Ethan felt every eye in the chamber on him. He wanted to explain, to say he didn't do it for power or glory. But before he could speak, the Queen raised her hand again. Name your price, human. The words struck him like lightning. Price? What could he even ask for? Riches, safety? A way off this cursed ship? He glanced at the baby. Its tiny fingers clutched his shirt, glowing softly with trust. The sight twisted something deep inside him. He wasn't here for rewards. I don't want anything, he said firmly. Just let me go home. The nobles erupted in anger. Some shouted in their strange language, others slammed their weapons against the ground. To them, his words were insult. But the Queen raised her hand again, and silence returned instantly. Her violet eyes studied Ethan with a strange intensity. Not anger. Not hatred. Something else. You ask for nothing? She said softly. Ethan shook his head. I didn't do this for reward. I did it because your child needed me. For the first time, the Queen tilted her head, almost like a curious predator watching prey that did not run. The nobles exchanged uneasy looks. Some whispered that the Queen should kill him. Others warned that sparing him might break their ancient laws. The soldier who had first brought Ethan stepped forward. "My queen, this human." His hands kept the air alive. "Without him, we would face death and dishonor." The queen did not look at her soldier. She continued to watch Ethan, silent, calculating. Finally, she stepped closer. She was now only a few feet away. Ethan could feel the power radiating from her presence as if the air itself grew heavier. The queen looked at the baby, then at Ethan. "You touched what no other has touched. You gave breath when even our machines failed." Her eyes burned brighter. "Perhaps you are not here by chance, human. Perhaps fate itself sent you." Ethan's mouth went dry. Fate? He wanted to argue, to laugh, to tell her she was wrong. But then the baby's tiny hand reached out, glowing brighter, and touched his chest. The queen's gaze softened for the briefest moment. Then her voice came again. Sharp, powerful, final. "You will not be released. You will come with me. You will stand before my throne, and you will answer for what you have done." The nobles roared in agreement, some in anger, some in excitement. Ethan's stomach sank. He had only wanted to save a child. But now he was caught in the storm of an empire. He clutched the baby closer, whispering to himself, "What have I gotten into?" The alien ships carried Ethan away from the desert crash site. He sat inside a dark chamber, the queen's soldiers surrounding him like silent statues. The baby slept in his arms, breathing softly through the device he had built. Every time the baby sighed, the soldiers' glowing eyes shifted toward Ethan. He could feel their distrust. In their world, no human should hold a royal heir, yet none dared take the child from him, not while the queen had commanded otherwise. Ethan looked out the small window. The alien city spread across the horizon like something out of a dream. Towers of crystal and black stone rose into the clouds. Lights shimmered across bridges that connected floating platforms. Ships glided silently through the air as if obeying an unseen rhythm. It was beautiful, but it also felt like a cage. When they landed, the queen led the way through the royal palace. The hall was vast, carved from dark stone, glowing with silver veins that pulsed like living veins. Alien nobles lined the walls, their jeweled armor gleaming. Whispers filled the chamber as they saw Ethan carrying the heir. Impossible. A human touches the royal child. This breaks the old law. The queen ignored them. She walked with silent power, every step echoing across the floor. Ethan followed, clutching the baby tightly. He could feel hundreds of eyes stabbing into him, filled with both hatred and curiosity. Finally, the queen stopped at her throne, a towering seat of crystal and iron. She turned and faced the nobles. "This human," she said, her voice calm but sharp, "saved my child." The hall erupted in noise. Some nobles shouted praise. Others shouted for Ethan's death. The queen raised her hand and silence fell. Her violet eyes locked on Ethan. "He asks for nothing," she continued. "He does not seek gold, nor power, nor titles. He only wished to return home." The nobles muttered again, but quieter this time. Ethan's honesty confused them. The queen leaned forward. "Yet I see something more: courage, skill, a will that does not bend." She stood, her armor shimmering in the light. Then, to everyone's shock, she lifted one hand toward Ethan. "I offer him a place among us." The hall fell silent. Even Ethan froze. "What? No, that's not—" he began. But the nobles erupted again, furious this time. "A human cannot sit among the chosen. He will destroy our laws. This insult cannot stand." The queen's soldiers slammed their weapons into the ground, silencing the uproar. The queen's eyes never left Ethan. "You saved the heir," she said. "That is no small thing. It is a gift to my throne." Ethan's voice shook. "I don't want gifts. I don't belong here. I just want to survive." The queen's gaze softened slightly, almost like a flicker of respect. "Survival is earned, human, and you have earned more than that." That night, a great feast was held in the palace hall. Long tables filled with alien food stretched across the chamber. Strange fruits that glowed softly, meats that shifted color in the light, drinks that shimmered like molten metal. Ethan sat near the queen, the baby resting safely in a cradle beside him. The nobles sat farther away, watching him with sharp, unblinking eyes. He tried to keep calm, but every movement around him felt dangerous. He knew he was not welcome here. The queen spoke little, only watching him with her piercing violet eyes. Sometimes he thought he saw curiosity in her gaze. Other times it was something deeper, unreadable. "You do not eat?" she finally asked. Ethan shook his head. Your food. It's not for me. The Queen tilted her head, almost amused. Strange. You risk your life for a child not your own, yet you fear a simple meal? Ethan gave a weak smile. I know when I should be careful. A noble sitting across from him raised a cup, smiling thinly. Drink, human. Taste the gift of our table. Show us you are not afraid. Ethan hesitated. The cup shimmered with strange golden liquid. His gut twisted. He reached out, lifting the cup slowly. The Queen's eyes followed his every move, but before he could drink, the baby stirred. Its tiny eyes opened, glowing faintly. It let out a soft cry, weak but sharp. Ethan froze. He looked down at the child, and in that moment he noticed something. A faint, oily film floated on the surface of the golden drink. Poison. Ethan's fingers tightened. He set the cup down hard on the table, spilling the liquid across the floor. Gasps filled the hall. The nobles stood in shock. The Queen rose from her throne, her violet eyes blazing like fire. Who dares? Her voice thundered, shaking the chamber. The noble who had offered the drink paled, stumbling back. Soldiers moved instantly, grabbing him and dragging him to the floor. He shouted protests, but no one listened. The Queen stepped down, her shadow long and terrifying. She pointed at the trembling traitor. Death, she commanded. The soldiers obeyed without hesitation. The hall fell into silence again, heavy and cold. Ethan sat frozen, the baby still clutching his shirt. His heart pounded in his chest. He had nearly been killed. The Queen turned back to him, her eyes softer now but still unreadable. You see, human, she said, not all here welcome you. To some, your survival is a threat, but the air breathes because of you. That truth no poison can erase. She stepped closer, her towering form casting a shadow over him. For a moment, her voice lowered, almost gentle. Be careful, human. You are more important now than you realize. Ethan swallowed hard. He wanted to believe her words. But deep down he knew the danger was only beginning. The palace halls were quiet that night. Too quiet. Ethan sat alone in the chamber given to him. The walls glowed faintly with silver veins, casting strange shadows across the floor. The cradle with the baby rested nearby. The child slept peacefully, breathing steadily through the device Ethan had built. He should have felt relief, but instead, a weight pressed on his chest. The memory of the poisoned cup replayed in his mind. He had been seconds away from death, saved only because the baby cried at the right moment. He couldn't shake the thought. Someone powerful wanted him gone, and in a palace filled with secrets, anyone could be the enemy. A soft knock broke the silence. Ethan froze. The door opened and the armored soldier who had first found him entered. The alien's glowing eyes studied him carefully. Human, the soldier rumbled, voice low. They will not stop. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? The soldier stepped closer, lowering his voice. You humiliated the nobles. You live where others would die. To them this is shame. Shame must be erased. Ethan's stomach twisted. He glanced at the baby still sleeping. And the Queen? Does she know? The soldier's head tilted. She protects you, for now, but even her power is not infinite. Before Ethan could reply, a faint sound echoed from the cradle. The baby stirred, its glow flickering weakly. Ethan rushed to its side. The device was slipping, the airflow faltering. He adjusted the mask, panic rising in his chest. Stay with me. Breathe. The baby coughed once, then settled again. The soldier watched in silence. Then he said almost reluctantly, The air trusts you. More than our own kind. That is dangerous. Ethan looked up sharply. Dangerous for who? For me or for your empire? The soldier gave no answer. He simply turned and left, the door sliding shut behind him. The next day, Ethan was summoned to the throne hall again. The Queen sat on her massive seat, her violet eyes sharp as ever. The nobles stood along the walls, their whispers louder than before. When Ethan entered, the room seemed to grow colder. The Queen raised one hand, silencing the noise. Human, step forward, Ethan obeyed, his heart pounding. He could feel the weight of every stare pressing into him. The Queen studied him for a long moment before speaking. They question why you are still alive. They question why the air smiles only in your arms. Ethan's breath caught. He hadn't realized it before, but it was true. The baby laughed only when he held it, calmed only when he spoke softly. Even now the child reached toward him, glowing gently. The Queen's voice hardened. They see this as weakness. As betrayal of our laws, Ethan clenched his fists. I didn't ask for this. I'm just trying to keep your child alive. The nobles hissed at his boldness, but the queen raised her hand again, silencing them. Her eyes locked onto Ethan's, burning like fire. Then prove it, she said. At her command, 2 soldiers dragged forward a figure bound in chains. Ethan's stomach turned. It was the noble who had offered him the poisoned drink. The noble glared at Ethan with pure hatred. You have cursed us, human. Your touch defiles the throne. You should have died. The queen's voice cut like steel. This one betrayed my trust. But the law says his punishment may be chosen by the one he tried to kill. Gasps echoed through the hall. All eyes turned to Ethan. His chest tightened. Me? You want me to decide? The queen's eyes narrowed. Yes, end his life or show mercy. The choice is yours, the noble snarled. Do it, coward. Show them what you really are. Ethan looked at the baby, calm in the cradle beside him. He looked at the nobles, their eyes hungry for blood. His hands shook. He had never taken a life before. He didn't want to start now, but if he spared the noble, would it be seen as weakness? Would it invite more attacks? He met the queen's gaze. I won't kill him. I'm not like you. If your law says I must choose, then I choose mercy. The hall erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted, some in outrage, others in disbelief. Soldiers slammed their weapons down, struggling to control the uproar. The queen's eyes never left him. Finally, she raised her hand again, and silence fell. Mercy, she said slowly. A human's choice. Strange, but perhaps not without wisdom. She turned to the soldiers. Exile him. Strip him of rank. Let him wander as nothing. The noble screamed in rage as he was dragged away. Ethan's stomach twisted, but he forced himself to stand tall. Later, in the quiet of the chamber, the queen visited him. The baby lay sleeping once more, its glow gentle and steady. The queen stood near the cradle, her towering form casting long shadows. She watched the child for a moment, then turned her gaze to Ethan. You refused to kill, she said softly. You showed mercy even when it gave you no advantage. Ethan crossed his arms. Killing him wouldn't have solved anything. It would have just made me like the rest of you. For the first time, the queen's lips curved just slightly. Not quite a smile, but something close. You are different, human, she said. Different and dangerous. Some will see you as a threat, others, her eyes lingered on him, unreadable, may see you as something more. Ethan's chest tightened. He didn't like the way she said it. The queen turned to leave, her voice echoing as she walked away. Be ready. The trials have only begun. The palace was never silent anymore. Wherever Ethan walked, whispers followed him. Human. The air trusts him. The queen watches him too closely. Some whispered with awe, others with venom, but all of them feared what his presence meant. Ethan tried to ignore them. His focus was the baby, who now breathed easily through the stronger device he had built. Every day the child grew calmer, stronger. Every time Ethan held it, the baby smiled, glowing like a small star in his arms. But the more the baby trusted him, the more the Empire's nobles grew restless. One evening, Ethan was summoned again to the throne hall. The chamber was crowded. Soldiers lined the walls. Nobles filled the balconies above, and banners of black and silver hung from the ceiling. The air was heavy, charged with tension. The queen sat upon her towering throne, her violet eyes glowing brighter than ever. The baby lay in a cradle beside her, calm and safe. When Ethan entered, the noise of whispers died instantly. All eyes turned to him. The queen stood slowly. The room trembled with her presence. Today, she said, her voice carrying like thunder, we speak not of betrayal or law. Today we speak of the future. Ethan frowned. He didn't like the sound of that. The queen descended the steps of her throne, her long armor shimmering like liquid night. She walked until she stood only a few feet from Ethan. Her gaze pierced him. Human, you saved my child when even my machines failed. You showed mercy where my nobles demanded blood. You proved courage when death circled you. Ethan swallowed. I only did what anyone should. Her eyes narrowed. No, not anyone. Only you. The hall buzzed with whispers again. The nobles shifted uneasily. Some looked furious, others frightened. The queen raised her hand, silencing them once more. Then she spoke words that made the hall explode into chaos. I offer this human my hand. Ethan's heart stopped. Wait, what? The nobles roared. Blasphemy! A human cannot touch the throne. This will destroy us. Soldiers slammed their weapons against the floor, struggling to hold order. The noise shook the chamber like an earthquake, but the Queen's voice cut through it all. My empire stands at a crossroad. Old laws rot like dead wood. New strength must rise. And this human, this Ethan, has already bound himself to our future through the air. She turned her violet eyes back to him. Marry me, human. Stand by my side. Protect the air not as an outsider, but as blood. Ethan's mind spun. His mouth went dry. Marriage to her? He looked around the hall. The nobles glared at him with murder in their eyes. Some soldiers looked uncertain, even afraid. He could feel the weight of the entire empire pressing on his shoulders. I'm not one of you, he stammered. I'm just an engineer. I don't belong here. I don't belong to your throne, your laws, any of it. The Queen's gaze did not waver. And yet the child lives because of you. And yet the empire speaks your name in fear. You already belong to us, human, whether you accept it or not. Her voice softened slightly so only he could hear. If you refuse, they will not forgive you. They will not forgive me. Blood will follow. Ethan froze. Refusal meant war inside her own court. Acceptance meant stepping into a life he never wanted. Either way, the galaxy itself might change. A noble stepped forward, breaking the silence. He bowed mockingly and sneered. This is madness. He is a weak creature. He will break the throne with his softness. He must be removed. He reached for his blade. Before anyone could react, the baby let out a sharp cry. The sound cracked like thunder, shaking the crystal walls. Light flared from the child's small body, blinding everyone for a moment. The noble fell to his knees, clutching his head in pain. When the light faded, the baby was calm again, looking only at Ethan, tiny hands reaching out for him. The Queen's voice rang out. Do you see? Even the air has chosen. Ethan stood frozen, the child's trust pulling at his heart. His mind screamed to run, but his chest ached with the weight of responsibility. He looked at the Queen. Her violet eyes were fierce, but in their depths, he saw something else. Something softer. Not just power, not just command, but a strange kind of hope. He closed his eyes. He could feel the path splitting in front of him. One way led to war, the other, to something unknown. He opened his eyes again and his voice came out low but steady. If I do this, I do it for the child. Not for power, not for your throne, only for the heir's future. The Queen's lips curved faintly, almost like a hidden smile. Then you accept. Ethan's chest tightened. He didn't want to say yes, but silence was answer enough. The nobles gasped, furious and terrified. Soldiers slammed their weapons in salute. The hall shook with chaos, and in the middle of it all, Ethan stood frozen, a human caught between destiny and doom. The throne hall was chaos. Nobles shouted in fury. Soldiers slammed their weapons in salute, and the Queen stood tall, her violet eyes burning like fire. And Ethan stood frozen in the middle of it all. He had not spoken the word yes, yet his silence had already sealed his fate. The Queen had claimed him before her entire empire. A human standing at the edge of history, the baby reached out from the cradle, glowing softly as if sensing his turmoil. Ethan's chest tightened. He had come here with nothing. He had never asked for power or wealth or glory. All he had wanted was to save a child. But now that small choice had changed everything. The Queen raised her hand, silencing the chamber. Her voice rang out, calm but sharp as a blade. The human stands with me. His courage, his mercy, his skill, these are the gifts of his kind. He will protect the heir, and through him our empire will learn new strength. The nobles erupted again. This is betrayal. He will destroy us. We cannot allow this. One noble, braver, or more foolish than the rest, stepped forward, blade in hand. His jeweled armor shimmered as he pointed the weapon at Ethan. Kill the human now before he curses the throne. The Queen's soldiers drew their weapons instantly, but the noble charged, screaming in rage. Ethan's instincts screamed at him to run. But when he looked at the baby, glowing and fragile, something inside him hardened. He could not run. As the noble lunged, Ethan grabbed a fallen soldier's staff. He blocked the strike with trembling arms. The force knocked him to the floor, but he held on. The noble sneered. You are weak, human. You do not belong here. Ethan's grip tightened on the staff. His arms burned, but he forced himself to rise. His voice shook, but it carried across the chamber. Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I'm weak compared to you. But strength isn't just about weapons and laws. Sometimes strength is choosing to save, not to kill. And if that makes me weak, then I'll still stand. Gasps rippled through the hall. Even the Queen's eyes widened slightly. The noble roared and struck again, but this time Ethan sidestepped, driving the staff into the noble's chest. The jeweled warrior stumbled, shocked. He fell to his knees, gasping. Ethan stood over him, staff in hand. The chamber was silent. He could end it right there. One strike, but he lowered the weapon. No, he said firmly. I won't kill you. That's not who I am. The Queen stepped forward. Her voice thundered. Enough. She gestured to her soldiers, and they dragged the defeated noble away. The hall filled with whispers again, louder than before. But this time some whispers carried not anger, but respect. The Queen turned to Ethan, her violet eyes glowing fiercely. You refuse to kill even when given the chance. You defy my nobles, yet you protect my child. You stand where no other would. Tell me, human, why? Ethan looked at the baby, who smiled faintly in the cradle. Then he looked back at the Queen. Because someone has to choose a different path. If all you do is answer hate with hate, you'll never break free. I didn't save your child for power or marriage or empire. I saved them because it was right. The hall fell silent. For the first time, the Queen's voice softened. Right, a small word. A human word. And yet, she looked at the baby, then back at Ethan. Perhaps it is what we need. Later, the hall emptied. Only the Queen, the baby, and Ethan remained. The Queen stood by the cradle, her towering figure strangely still. She touched the child's glowing hand, then looked at Ethan. You have changed everything, she said quietly. The nobles will not forgive easily. They will test you. They will test me. But the air breathes because of you, and now, the Empire breathes differently too. Ethan sighed, rubbing his forehead. I never asked for this. I just wanted to help. Her violet eyes softened, almost gentle. And that is why fate chose you. You wanted nothing, yet you gave everything. The baby reached out again, tiny hands glowing as they touched Ethan's chest. The warmth spread through him like fire, like hope. He looked at the Queen. Then I'll stay. For the child. For the future. But don't expect me to become what your nobles want. I'll only ever be me. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then the Queen's lips curved faintly. The closest thing he had ever seen to a smile. That will be enough. Ethan stepped to the cradle, looking down at the baby who had started it all. The small alien cooed softly, breathing peacefully. He whispered almost to himself, A human changed your destiny. But maybe you'll change mine too. The Queen stood beside him, her towering shadow merging with his smaller frame. And in that quiet moment, under the glow of the child, an empire shifted. A human had chosen not power, not fear, not war, but hope.